So obviously that first Wisconsin game was a long time ago, but what do you kind of take from that now going into this one?
Just the details of things from an offensive standpoint, just trying to be a lot more clean. We had, too many miscues in the game. And then obviously Johnny Davis played really well, and our inability to stop him. They have a very good team. I thought Voigt, if I'm saying his name correctly, came in and really played well. They battled some foul trouble with their other guys. But I like their guard play, I like their defense. They've been able to out-tough some people for some wins here in the past couple of weeks where they haven't played as great offensively, and that's what good teams do. They rebounded the ball, up in Minnesota. They did a great job there. They really gutted out a victory against Rutgers, getting some extra possessions there. But I like their team. They're well coached. They're tough. They're resilient. They got some shot makers. They got one of the best players in the country. But for us, we have to have quality possessions on the offensive end. And when I watched that tape, we just didn't have enough quality possessions. We were too loose with the basketball. And sure, there's other areas of concern, but there's certain things that after you've played almost a whole season that you can control. And that's why I probably emphasize that more than anything, because I feel we can control that.
The turnover part of it, they seem to come in bunches sometimes.
Yes.
Is there a common denominator between that, something that's happening that's kind of leading to all that, or is there a counterpunch to it when it starts happening?
Well, it's different. You have 17 total turnovers, but they're all not bad passes.
Yeah.
Like you got some travels, you got some offensive fouls. We're not a very good team when we break what we're doing. So a lot of them, you'll coach good teams or good players, and they'll break a play. And they normally break a play because they see something advantageous to attack. We break a play for the sake of breaking a play. Like it's an experiment. And that's gotten us in trouble this whole year. But when we stay with things, we also get to a certain point when we get up 10, 12 points. It didn't happen in our last game, but we get up 10, 12 points, and now we want to get away from the things that we've done so well to get that lead. I just think that in the game of basketball, good things are contagious and bad things are contagious. It's kind of a theory answer, but you asked me a theory question. Some of the offensive fouls there in the post, like they were offensive fouls. Now, what happens before that? We are getting fouled, whether it's it's a hook and a hold, whether it's grabbing jerseys, whether it's face box outs or whatever. And so, and they called fouls in that game. They just didn't call all of them. And that's what we have talked about, being on the road and especially playing physical teams. Those things are going to happen, and they obviously happened at Michigan State. And you've got to be able to play through them. You got to be better because of it. But when you have 17 turnovers, now you're not offsetting that. You have 10 turnovers. None of those things matter because you win the basketball game. And that's where we have to, really do a better job, especially the start of the second half, because it goes to your line of questioning. Is I think it was 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 6 of the first possessions are turnovers. Yeah, one of them we dropped the ball. The other one, is a bad pass. And you can kind of keep going down the line, but you got to kind of understand the flow of the game or what's happening and try to keep some things simple after you've had a couple turnovers, so you don't make 2 turnovers into 4 like we did.
You're going to face the same situation Tuesday, hostile environment on the road.
Yep.
You're going to have to play through
right,
grabbing and the holding,
right,
and all that.
Yeah.
Just adding up all these road experiences. At what point does this help you in a situation like Tuesday?
Well, I think for us, and this is what I told our guys, is like whether they call fouls or they don't call fouls, you're doing the same thing at times too. So don't take yourself out of the equation. So the reason you fouled isn't that you're getting fouled. And that sometimes happens with us, especially with Zach. Zach's the only guy that I think unfairly gets a poor whistle. He gets a poor whistle. They have not done a good job of officiating him. They've been very inconsistent with that. I'm not looking at any other things. When Jaden gets out into space and he gets by people and they're checking him, they're calling those fouls because it's out in space in the World Season. Inside on the interior, it's a little bit harder, but it can't make you go and foul then. You can't use that, 7th grade logic that since they fouled you, you're allowed to foul them. That doesn't work in the game of basketball. So we've really tried to get them to be able to play through things, understand things. And your 10th road game, in conference. Like it's been a consistent theme. That's what, hey, this is the way it is. It's the way it's been for 100 years. Like, play through these things and be above it. But it gets back to, don't turn the basketball over and take good shots, and good things will happen for us. And that's what we have to do. That's what we have to stick with from an offensive standpoint.
I know the turnovers kind of got him going in the first half a little bit, but what has to be better against Johnny Davis this time?
Just a better concentrated effort. We just had such glaring breakdowns. He gets, I don't know if he gets it, but they get about 6 breakaway dunks in the game. So once again, it's our turnovers that lead to them scoring points. When he makes turnaround 18-footers with 2 people on him, like, tip of the hat. Mm-hmm. Like, those are some tough plays. You can't let him get angles. You can't let him get dunks and layups. You can't let him get to the free throw line. Keep making him make tough shots. Now, with that being said, if there's anybody out there that can do it and carry his team to a win, he's the guy. Like, he's proven that. But you still got to make it hard on him. And we just didn't make it very hard on him. He had his way with us.
Is it simple, just trying to get the ball out of his hands?
Get the ball out of his hands, not let him get in rhythm. Don't let him get the breakaway dunks. Don't let him get to the free throw line. That is more important. Kind of the in-between plays, the transition plays. Like, those are the ones that's how you get 37. You smorgasbord. When you can score at that kind of a clip, you're getting it from all over. He's going to get his baskets. You just can't let him get everything.
Just including Johnny Davis and everything, all of Wisconsin as a team, they do a good job of just not turning the ball over.
Yes.
Very good, efficient on the offensive end of the court. What can you guys do to just kind of make everyone uncomfortable, I guess,
Right.
not just specifically
Well, you
Johnny
want to be
Davis?
able to disrupt them. You got to have active hands. They're going to be fundamentally sound. They're going to move the basketball. Obviously, they play off of him. They play off of Brad Davison. But Tyler Wall's a vastly improved player that's very in between, to where he can drive the ball. He can post you up. Stephen Crow has made some huge plays down the stretch. Had a big basket against Minnesota. Can hit a timely 3 against you. Voigt got on the offensive glass against us. So they have some good players. Chucky Hepburn is one of the best freshmen in our league, who's a good on-ball defender, can make pull-ups, can make plays. He's going to be an all-conference level player, and you can kind of go right down the line. But they have a good team across the board. They have a good defensive team, but their ball control really helps their defense, because they get good shots, they take care of the ball, they don't turn it over. All the things that you're trying to do, they do it.
Is that why they're really good at close games as well? They've got like 14 straight games they've won under 6 points.
Yeah, it's very uncanny to be able to do that. The way they play late in games is the way they play the whole game. Like, they'll take, if you're going to give them stuff, they'll take things in transition. Like, people look at them like they don't look to attack. They do look to attack. But if you're good at getting back and you're setting your defense or whatever, the way they're playing and the way they're executing with 14 minutes to go in the game is the way they play with a minute to go in the game. And so it's nothing different at the end of the game. You want to put the ball in your best player's hands, but you still want to be able to get an efficient shot, and they do a really good job of that. And they create a lot of extra possessions for themselves by the way they crash the offensive glass and get extra, possessions.